put a lift kit on it. So you can see a little bit more. We need better light here, really, of this slider assembly here. It pivots way up front. That's where it pivots at. And we might end up dropping this out. We're discussing with the burro, because obviously the wheels on it are grooved and nasty too. So you can see the wheels on it are not good. The plate down there is the plate that it slides on back and forth. And it's got a groove in it and a pin that stops it from going too far left to right and picks it up if you get it where you're picking it up high like it is now. And then the front pin is the point it pivots off of. So they can actually, they pivot.
Oh, yeah.
As a set this way too. They turn, they steer. If they have tapers on the flanges yet. Okay. Right now they really don't steer. They just kind of ride along right now. Cracked. It was cracked somewhere in here when I had did the rebearing after it was 2 years out. It had a little crack in there somewhere. But gearbox, we're just inspecting it, checking it here a little bit. This was gearbox we built right here. We didn't build the gears for it, but if you look, you can look in here, see what's in here, and it's still good and tight. You have a final gear, and a bull gear pinion. This here, and we've got some pictures in with the train locomotive, the fixed pictures. You'll see these parts laying out separate in one of the sections. They're laying out on the deck of this locomotive, I think, before the box existed. I was doing measurements on it. This piece right here originally had another straight gear on it, and because this with a straight gear here and this pinion and that bull gear are out of a Caterpillar excavator. I think it's a 235, but I forget for sure. Anyway, those are out of an excavator, and they're normally a little bit different. This is a Dana 80 ring and pinion, and after I turned all the gear teeth off, I remachined the gear so that it became the hub for the ring gear for the Dana 80. We made the box. Part of the interesting thing with the design on this box, all of the bearings are in a cartridge. So we have tapered bearings everywhere, and so they adjust. The bearings go in here, and then you have this piece here holds the bearings, and this is bored with a metal-to-metal fit, and it has an O-ring so that it can seal as you adjust it back and forth. If it gets loose, you can actually go in here and you loosen these dog set screws that are in between here, tighten these down. That'll take up the slack in the bearing, and then retighten the other one so that it stays tight in both directions. And all of the everything's set up that way. The shafts, which it looks like they have been doing the greasing, probably. There's some grease that came out there besides the black grease. No, that's silicone I'm looking at on that part. That's another thing. On the seals here, they haven't been greasing it. They haven't greased it for decades. That's the grease fitting. That's supposed to get silicone grease in it, separate from they haven't been greasing it, but it's kind of overkill anyway. There's two seal sets in there. There's a seal set to hold the oil in and a seal set to hold the dirt out, and then you put silicone grease in between the two of them is the idea to purge it out so any of the dirt would be gone. Box is 1-inch plate for the main box. The cover was also 1-inch plate but got milled down as we manufactured it, so you can see it's more like 3/4 or 5/8 in the thin part of it. It's dowel pinned, so if you take it apart, you can unbolt it. It will come back and realign. All the bores line up. They're hardened dowel pins. It's a welded structure. We used welding, welded it together. I think I used inner shield. I think I did that with the NS3M inner shield, the welds in the box. And knowing me, Yeah, it's a full, that's all weld all the way out. There's no break, no unweld. It's all one solid piece now. We made this here, if you look at this, this is another where you've got a cartridge here so you can adjust your bearings and then just have your pinion depth that you adjust right here. And I'm trying, I don't remember, I'll bet I've got probably have a spacer for setting the preload on the bearings on that set. But it's all still tight. It's only been I was saying 190,000, but I got to thinking, I was talking with the guy from the vehicle maintenance department for the borough, and he was reminding me that we had COVID and some reasons why it was down for a while. So it's only over 150,000 miles. I can't really say it was 190,000 because there was about 2.5 years there anyway where nothing happened, and there could have been some slack years. So that's over 150,000 miles anyway. It's had a little bit of time on it. I think we will clean it up before we go to the next step. We got to get the tires off. We could put the whole thing in the big lathe and just suspend the far end, but it's just going to be easier just to knock the tires off. I had originally thought, we might still do it that way. I don't know, we might. One of the things I was thinking as a possibility is that we might hang this up and put a hand drill on there and rotate it so that we can just stay still, hold our torch still while we heat it up and run the wheels around. But the other way, we'd block it up. Otherwise, we'd block it up so it's sitting on the wheels. The wheels are nice and solid that way. But you can't block it and have it sitting on the wheels and spin them both. It just doesn't work. So, yeah. And there's a suspension piece that bolts on. Besides the top cover, it also is a suspension piece that goes on there. And it was the height of that suspension piece we wanted to have more room to clear underneath here, which we had plenty. We had plenty. And so we should measure that too while we're here. Take a tape measure just off the ground and see where we're setting with the gearbox for height for clearing that in the future, because we probably don't really want to bring it up that much more. We're right at the maximum of our jacks right now, and we didn't have to go quite that high.